Hello, and welcome to the Scaling Therapy Practice. This is your host, James Marland. This is the show where we empower mission driven helpers to launch life changing online courses and content. Really excited to have one of my mentors here with me today, Joey Ragona. Joey, you different Ragona. Hello, Joey. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be here. Thank you for reaching out. I'm super excited to talk to you and your amazing listeners. And I love what you just said. It was what was it? Mission driven? Like repeat
Yeah.
that again because
Yep.
that was like
It's the show that we empower. So it's my action word, empower, mission driven helpers, healers, coaches, like that, mission driven people who are on a
I
mission.
love it.
I love helping people who are going somewhere. Uh,
I love
I
that.
realized I couldn't, I've worked in the therapy world for like 18, 20 years, but I couldn't be a therapist because I struggle with victim mentality. People who are
Mm,
just stuck in that, like the energy to move them from victim to agency. It's probably something I struggle with. So it's hard to
right.
help other people out of it. And so I love mission driven people. And then what are they trying to do? They're trying to like fulfill their mission. And what I can do is help people launch courses with it. So
Beautiful.
that's my mission.
I love it. I love it. Mission driven is that's a big part of my life too. So we're on the same path here. So
Yeah.
thank you for having
Well,
me.
there's a lot of overlap. One of the things I loved about you and going through your courses is just how you explain things that were on my heart, but they were like you're down the road further. You know, you've thought about it, you've lived it, you've made it work. Um, just a little bit of introduction, and you can take it off from there. Is I started the Kajabi platform, and they started offering all these webinars, and one of them was Dream Client Connection or Dream. I think it's called Dream Client Connection. And I was like, yes, I want dream clients. Let me sign up for that. So I signed up for it, and that's where I met Joey, and he opened my eyes to the world of having a business that you run instead of it running you. And so that's my introduction. If you've been listening to the podcast at all, you probably hear me mention Joey probably 50 times. So here he is. Joey, can you ex
I'm honored.
yeah, can you just explain your story and how you started, the Dream Client Connection and your universe there?
Yeah. So, just to correct you, is the Dream Client workshop, the Dream Customer Workshop, is the one we do on Kajabi. Dream Client Connection is a short introduction to my world of Atlas. So because you're in it, those names are all cross
Mhm.
referenced within the whole ecosystem. And the quick story is that, for many years, I started online officially in 2012, and then put my first product out in 2014. And so between 2014 and basically 2020, that was 6 years of me struggling, just trying to get everything together and going through multiple courses and literally almost $200,000 of investing in marketing and products and you name it, masterminds and all that, and coaches. And I learned a lot. Like really did learn a lot. And the final 3 uh, years between 2016 and 19 were the hardest for me because that's when I completely moved into another area of, it's popularized now, bro marketing, more aggressive type of marketing. And I thought that I was missing something because everything else I was doing was not really working. So the business was kind of okay. So as you know me, like I dive in 1,000%. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to focus on it. So I did that for 3 years, and during those 3 years, my heart and my head were truly fighting. It was a very painful time of my life, harder than the first what 2 or 3 years of it just being an okay business, and that pinpointing piece of my life said, Joey, you're not doing this the right way. You're not leading from your heart anymore. Even though all of these other things might work for somebody else, it's not going to work for you. And so I basically went broke and just enough to carry my Kajabi membership. And that was basically it, right? So it wasn't the absolute zero and I had no money and all that stuff, but it felt like there was
Yeah.
nothing there. And that's when I just changed the way I looked at everything. And it was, who are the people that I want in my life? I don't want to force people. I don't want to convince people. I don't want to do any of the any of that stuff, because even though I'm really great at writing copy and I've been in copy for over 40 years and then marketing. I know all the NLP stuff. I know all the stuff that I could do, but it just was manipulative to me. I didn't want to do that anymore. I just wanted to have people who were like my friends.
Mhm,
And that's where it all started. And I started talking about that and people thought I was crazy. They say because I found that there was two camps. There was like, you can't be friends with your clients. You can't do that. It's impossible. Or there was, yes, you can, because that's how I grew up with my dad. And and I knew it for a fact because I saw it. I lived it all my life. And I said, well, if my dad could do it, and this is what happened with him, then I could do it too. And so that's where it all began. And I started crafting the idea of what a dream client is, which is like this perfect person. Like we all have that, that little game. Like if you can craft the perfect woman or the craft the perfect man, and
mhm.
what would it be like? And I thought, why can't we do this with a perfect a client and a customer? And as you know, you've been through this, and sometimes, actually, I would say almost every time, our heads get in the way. Like, okay, I understand this concept, but you start writing all these dream client DNA attributes and all these things. You're like, no way, there's nobody who's going to be like this. And that's where the challenge is. But that's when the breakthrough also happens because we may not get the absolute perfect person, but it's more like, what if we get as close as possible to this? How would our life look like? And this person is something that I want to be with and help,
Mhm.
like you just said, the mission driven people, all these things that I just want to hang out with, and the money and the business and all that is kind of secondary, even though it's really important. It's more about who are the people that I want to hang out with for 25 years of my life.
Yeah, the illustration that really sunk it for me was the bus illustration, where you're going on a
Yeah.
journey illustration, and you invite people who wanna go to the destination, like, you know how to get to the destination, and so you invite people who also want to go to that destination, and you know you can help them, but more than that, and maybe you can explain this a little bit more, but more than that, you they wanna go with you, and you wanna take them, and you have, like, party might be too strong of a word, but you have a much better time because you are going with the right people, and they are going with you. Did I explain it all right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, you just sparked another analogy, or to extend that analogy for me, because like that bus route is like if you're that bus driver and you're driving to, I use the Las Vegas thing. You're
Mhm.
going to Las Vegas MGM Grand Casino thing. That's the destination. Everybody knows why they want to go there, and
Yep.
the people that are getting on that bus all have different stories and why they're going, but the destination is important. It's the same for them, so it
Mhm.
doesn't matter. Do they want to pay off a loan? Do they want to just make money and buy a new car? Like, it doesn't matter
Was
what
it their
that is, but
dream
the destination.
vacation? Was it like
Yeah,
they liked the lights? Was it do they wanna see a
exactly.
show? They just know they wanna go to that Las Vegas, and even specifically, sometimes you've even said they wanna go to a specific hotel. You know how to get them to the front door of that hotel.
That's right. And so the extended analogy that I just dreamed up of as you were listening to
Mhm.
you is that if you're that bus driver and you totally enjoy that route all the time, like you're driving constantly back to Las Vegas and
Mhm.
back to the other end of the country and picking up people and going again. So not only is the scenery and all that stuff and the drive like exciting for you, it charges your batteries, but the people that are getting on the bus all the time, the conversations are, they're almost the same, but they're different at the same time, but they're all generally around the same topic or ideas or things, just like we're talking about now. Because I can talk about, as you know, dream clients 24/7, and I'll never, never have anything not to say.
Yep.
So, and I'm excited about it. So that's the analogy, is like, who are those people that you can imagine yourself driving for 25 years from one end of the country to the other end and back, picking up people along the way and doing the same thing again and again and again, like a good Groundhog Day. What
Mhm.
would that be like for you? And that to me is like an ultimate business. Ultimate.
Um, the the ultimate Groundhog Day, or you in the course, you talked about the ultimate week, like, what is your ultimate week? Living that
Yeah.
same week over
Yeah.
and over again and loving it,
Yeah.
and just designing your business around that dream week, the dream business.
Yeah, because that's how my life is now. I'm thankful that I'm living what I'm actually teaching. And one of the cool things about what we do, and you know this already, is that I believe that we need to not only have the expertise, but the experience as well. Are we living the oasis? I call that the oasis. What's the ultimate thing where your dream client wants to get to? What's that for where you can help them with? Because there's a journey after the fact of when you get them to the oasis that you can get them to. There's another piece. Um, so what does that look like? And if you haven't reached that yet, you don't know how it feels. And you can't describe it in a way that helps in your marketing, right? We always look at that. Like how what are the words I can use in marketing? The only way to do that is not only to do the research and see what they're saying, but also that you've already lived it. And we have to be able to describe that. So it's super important for us to live that. So I'm living that ultimate life, which is really, it's an amazing life, but more importantly to what you said, I think that needs to be said is the fact that it's a I can use the word boring, but it's not really boring. It's simple. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about my life. I don't have to worry about getting up and picking up my phone and going, "What am I gonna do now?" or "How do I react to this?" It's basically the same thing again and again and again, but it's like it's supercharged all the time. It's kinda like I'm plugging in my charger, like, every day, and I'm getting charged up all the way through the day, and that's, like, an amazing feeling, and I'm already waking up charged.
Yeah,
So imagine at the end of the day.
and it shows up in your work, it showed up in your courses, it shows up when you talk to people on the groups that I see you in. Like, you
Yeah,
just
thank you.
enjoy what you're doing, and you're trying to get people to think a little bit sometimes with some of your comments and not just you don't have to do the you called it bro marketing, stuff where there's deadlines and I don't know,
Yeah.
what's something that's onerous to you about bro marketing?
It's that mentality. There's a couple things. The mentality is let me sum it up this way, and then I'll expand on it if you want to.
Sure.
In some of the there was 1 or 2 things that come to mind, and I won't mention any names, but there was masterminds in places where I was where the mentality was get them on your email list any way possible and send them an email every day that
Mhm,
sells them something. And they're either going to do one of two things. They're either going to buy or they're going to opt out.
right.
And that's bro mentality. It's like there's not the only reason my email list exists is to sell you something. Now, I agree that our email list is a very lucrative piece of the business, right? We can't run the business without it. And it's very lucrative. That's where you sell, yes, but not to the degree of like every email has to be a sale. And if you don't like it, get off my list. And it's more of the expectation of, like an opt-in, a lead magnet goes to a whatever to another email sequence. And the expectation was I need to make as much money off of this person immediately as fast as possible because either I was spending money on an ad and I need to double that ad revenue or at least pay for the ad revenue, all these things. And I get it. I get it. That's I guess it's smart business. You don't want to spend all this money, right? And not make any money right away. But for me, it just didn't work. It was like my peeps just didn't want to be pressured.
Mm,
And I don't wanna be pressured, so I didn't like it, and so that, I guess, related back to my list, and that was the catalyst for me. It was like, that's what I don't wanna do anything that is aggressive at all whatsoever. You can nudge people, you can challenge them a little bit, but after they love you and after they trust you and you have this bond, like a friend, right, James? Like a
oh,
friend.
yeah. Yep.
You and I are friends. I could push you, and you'll know that it's not from this dagger piece that I just want more money from you. It's that I really truly wanna help you, and sometimes you need to be challenged. You need to be, right,
Mhm.
confronted with the hard truth. But do you take that to heart?
Well, it's because I
You
think
tell
you
me?
you built a relationship. This is the thing I think that sets this type of marketing apart different, is it you built a relationship. You helped me. You answered my questions. We weren't even I didn't even give you any money, you know, and you were, responding to my Facebook posts or, when I went through your dream client, I'm sorry if I got the name wrong, but I went through your webinar, the free webinar, and then you're like, "Would you like another free webinar?" And I'm like, "Yes," because I really connected with this guy and what he's talking about because I don't like the pressure marketing either. I wanna I want I wanna support people until they're ready to, pay for the go for the next leg of the journey. Um,
That's right.
and I think that's part of what you teach about respecting the customer's journey. Like everybody's on a journey and not everybody needs to buy in 90 days, or whatever
Yeah,
whatever the stats tell you. People don't
yeah,
buy in 90 days. They're never gonna buy. I don't think that's true when you're really develop that relationship and it showed up for you in your emails and group postings and there were, even during the group, sometimes I would ask you extra questions and you're like, let me make this video for you. Who does that? Like it's you do it for your
thank you.
friends.
Exactly.
You do it for the people that you want them to get to their destination just as much as they wanna get to their destination. You're not just the bus driver, you're like the party bus driver. Like, you want people to
That's right.
get and,
Yeah,
that's how it showed up for me.
thank you, man. And there's for anybody listening, it's sometimes I'm challenged by this because somebody will say, "Well, you're you're expecting them. They're doing this for a reason. Or you have people on your list because you want to sell them something, or you're helping in groups because you want to sell them things." And at the ultimate end of it, the big picture is, yeah, of course, I truly do want to help people that I'm talking to. However, there's a difference. There's a difference between expectation and hope. And getting them to a place where I hope they do choose me to help them because I truly do care about them, but I don't expect it. And there's a difference because I used to expect it. I used to go into those
Mm,
emails every day and send them in 2016 to 19 and expecting someone to click on that link to go to my page with the countdown timer and give me money or whatever it was. And I I just let go of all expectation, even when I get on clarity calls and all these other things. Uh, I just don't have an expectation. It's like, how can I answer something for you today? How can I move the needle for you or let you have a breakthrough or an aha moment? Sometimes, James, yes, that might lead to a sale right then and there. For me in my world, it rarely happens. So I'm not the guy who brings people in and like, how am I going to convert people today? It's never on my mind. It used to be on my mind because I used to have the conversion, cheat notes and all that stuff, all the objection handling notes and all that stuff on my other monitor. And the
and,
conversation just never went anywhere. And now as long as soon as I let go of every expectation, everything changed. And it was more of a hope. And so for you in that example is like, oh, I do hope James gets what I'm talking about here and hires me sooner or later, right? That's
mm,
of course it's in the back of my mind. But it's not like, well, I'm going to go shoot this video now and then he's going to watch it and then I'm going to send him another email say, "So, are you ready to join
yeah.
Atlas?" Right?
No. Nope. In fact, I think I liked how you do it is like you made me respond. You were like, "Hey, this is what I got. Does this sound good to you? Send me an email that
Right.
says I'm all in." You made me make the decision, not, you know, sign up now with this pressure. It was,
Yeah, and I don't know, did you refresh my memory, did you get the I guess, the sales offer, and then did you buy on that sales offer, or
no, it
was
took
it
me a
af
year. I went to your
yeah,
I went to your, webinar twice.
so
'Cause
there you go, right?
yeah, yeah. I
So, okay, so the reason I'm asking you this, so for everybody listening, did you get any pressure emails or whatever from the first time you got that sales offer?
so I probably got emails, but I don't remember pressure. Like,
Right.
I just
Like, "Are you gonna
remember
buy? Are you gonna buy?"
no,
Right?
I got like, "Hey, I have this webinar coming up," or "I have this person this guest," "You, join my Facebook group to ask your questions,"
Right,
that type of, like, value and support. And every once in a
right.
while, like, once a quarter, I think, it was like, "Hey, I'm starting another group up. This is the date. This is" "send me an email if you want more information." Like, you were pressuring me to sell. It was more of a, "Do you want do you think I can help you? Well, this is how you take the next step. And it was like this, you talk about it in the course, the chain of beliefs. Like it, I had to believe all in the beginning, like, oh, I have something to do, but I'm stuck at some point. And the last chain of belief was Joey can help me. I need to email Joey. And you just kind of
Mhm.
you were there until I made that leap that
Right.
I needed help. One of my beliefs I had to get over was that you need help. Like you can't do it all alone. And then the other one is like, okay, I have a problem. Where can I find solutions? Joey knows what he's talking about. He aligns with my values,
Right.
my vision of how I believe I want to run my business because I've gone to his webinar twice and I understood what he was offering. And then uh, the people like I'd gone to other webinars about like uh, deadlines and like building anticipation and all that type of stuff, and it made sense, but it also didn't quite align with my values. Like, I don't how can a helper, I wanna help people, pressure people to buy things now? Does that sound helpful? It didn't jive, but what you were saying did, and so it led me to that belief. I think I
Yeah,
need
and
help. Joey can help me. I'm gonna see what he has, and that's when I bought.
thank you for, yeah, telling that story because it's important for people to hear that. And you are totally aligned with me, or I'm aligned with you. Hopefully, I think that you're aligned with me. So you are a dream client for me. And it was easy. Like for me, if somebody said, well, how did you make a sale to James? And I'm
Right.
like, it was a cinch. Like
Mhm.
I didn't do, I didn't do anything. Like I just, one day he sent me an email and said, I'm thinking about joining Atlas. Can you tell me something else? I think that's how our exchange really went. It was first like a year before, it was like going through the regular thing and you didn't buy. And then a year after it was an email or something. And I said, okay, here's a couple of more answers or whatever we did. And if I look at that little moment in time, it was like, well, this dude just bought in a day. It was simple. He sent me an email. I sent him back some questions or what he got on a call or whatever it was. And he bought. And that's what a lot of people look at. They look at, well, I'll help you do this kind of sale. And that's not the case. Like our journey together was almost a year and a half, if not more, of bonding and trust and all these other things. And you sold yourself, right? Would you
Mhm.
agree with that?
Yeah, you didn't have to twist my arm. I I I yeah, I sold myself, I guess. Like, I believe that I experienced what you had. You did help me in some of my problems, and I just wanted more. I wanted more help and more support, and this was the way to get on that bus.
Yeah. And you're checking it out. You're like, is this guy for real? Is he staying on track? Is his message, the same all the way through? And I think that's an important thing that, we can talk about as well, because if I'm changing up my message or I'm different, behind the scenes or on a YouTube or in a webinar, like you're seeing patterns of this guy is not the same as I
Mm,
saw him over like it would freak you out. I think it would freak you out. You're like, I'm not sure about this dude. But when you show up and this is really important. This is part of this is part of our superpower matrix. This is one of the hardest things I think for people to actualize is because it's being yourself and not being afraid of being judged. And because that's how you get best friends, right? You just like, this is who I am, take it or leave it, and this is you're gonna see me at my best and see me at my worst, and can you handle that? And everything in between. And so if you do that, then everybody around you is either repelled by you or they're attracted to you, and you're not being a jerk about anything for the people who don't want to work with you or don't like you or whatever. They're just not gonna work with you. And so I think that's so important because so many people are trying things and they're changing up their message or they're changing the way that they do things. And consistency is so important. That's why I talk about the same dang thing like every day and nothing ever changes. So there's always this consistency and I think that builds a lot of bond and trust. But as you know, it's not easy because you don't get a lot of traction.
mhm.
You don't get like people holding up their hand and sending you money every single day. and you don't know if it's working. And that's a tough road.
Yes. I think we didn't record this part, but we started talking about what you call the 4% multipliers. 'Cause
Right.
somebody made a post, and it's like, "I feel like I'm doing all this stuff and nobody's responding." And I'm like, "I'm right there with you," you know? I make podcasts, I do blogs, I send out social media, I try to be helpful, but is anybody listening? But I know, well, there's one thing that keeps me going is, like, I enjoy adding value to people. I enjoy going into Facebook groups and making podcasts that, are from lessons that I've learned to help people without any expectation, I guess, that they're gonna be like, "Oh, James, that was a great answer. Do you have something to sell to me?" Like, it's not what I'm going for. But, I do have this belief because I've seen it work in other people where they're consistent, just like you showed up week after week, day after day, quarter after quarter saying, "Hey, I'm here if you need help. Let me help you with this other problem, but if you want more, this is how I can help you with more." And eventually I was ready, and I do believe well, that's not the quickest way, I guess, to make a sale. I think it's probably the most authentic way to get your dream clients to make a sale. Would you agree, or do you have a different take on that?
I totally agree with you. And I think that what we'll do is expand on it to help your listeners understand the speed of it, because speed is a huge factor. It's a
Mhm.
detriment, I think. Is that the right word? Anyway, it is now. Uh, so you're right that it's a slower process. However, consistency in doing it every day is the most important piece of it. And what happens is when you bring people into your world, we call it curating the tribe, right? You bring
Mhm.
people into your world, whatever that is, your Facebook group, your email list, on that, and you're consistently helping. Let me back up for a second because I don't want to forget this piece, because you said something very important, that you enjoy helping people. You enjoy doing all of these things. And that relates back to the dream client DNA. Like, the people that you want to help, or not only that, maybe you don't know who that is exactly right now, but you do know what you enjoy. You do know what you want to step into and just could talk about 24/7. Like, that is a big thing, because if you start out with, what do I want to sell?
Mhm.
What's the trend today? What's the thing? You're going to get messed up, because it's like, well, I'm not seeing any traction here. Let me switch to this thing over here, right? And that's what happens to 90% of
It
people.
destroys the consistency.
Yeah, and because they get and the consistency, and because they get bored, and because they have expectations,
Mm.
right? This is not happening fast enough for me. I don't want to keep talking about this if this is not working. Dude, I see this every day, even from high level people. I see this. I'm like, why are you changing? Like, just here, like, and I give them the three pillars, as you know, like, curate the tribe, you know, gee,
Serve,
curate
don't
the tribe,
sell.
yeah, serve, not sell, and then respect their timeline. And I'm like, that respect their timeline is the piece that you're missing, right? Like, you're serving, you're talking to these other people, but you're not respecting, and they're like, oh yeah, I totally get it, and it brings them, hopefully grounds them back, because that's a hard piece of it. So I don't know where I was going with my ADD, just kicked in now. I don't know where I was going with this, but that, at least I got the most important piece out, which was
I say that at least once every time I do a podcast. I don't know where I was going, but here, let's
right? That's
yeah,
who we are.
yeah.
If we're fake about it, and we're like, oh, just you gotta edit that out. Like, no, man, this is who we are, right? So-
So wow, this has been awesome. We've been recording about 20 minutes. Did we talk about there was, the dream business and the dream client DNA. Do you wanna do you, with the few minutes we have left, do you wanna get into that?
yeah, for sure. Which one do you want to hit? The dream business is more of a, it's more of a checklist. We can,
Well, I
it's
just wanna I know we've been recording 30 minutes. That I didn't wanna, go too long for you. I don't
yeah,
know what
sure.
you're
I'm here as long as you need me. Just cut me off.
doing. Oh, man. Cancel my dinner plans then, because once you get
Yeah.
on a roll, you're tough to shut down.
I know, dude. I know. You gotta just say, "That's enough, dude." It's like, "I gotta go."
All right. So we had just started talking about doing what you love every day and some of the um,
4% multiplier is what we
4%
were talking about.
multiplier.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So let me just finish off a thought there for the
sure.
4% multiplier. And that is because you're doing what you love and every single day, that's when the 4% multiplier comes in because you're doing almost the same thing every day. And it's not like you're doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's like in my case, I'm helping in groups or I go into my group or whatever, those little things, and maybe a podcast every single week or something like that, or a live stream. And I just enjoy it. So there's no expectations, and I'm glad that you said the same thing, that you're not expecting it, that
Hmm.
you're out there knowing and have faith that it's going to work. And where I was going with this is that it's like this flywheel. Um, and I forget who it is. It was Made to Stick,
Good
uh,
to great. It's the book on my
Good to Great.
bookshelf right
Okay,
there.
great. There it is. So you
Jim
know
Collins. Yep.
Jim Collins, that was it. Uh, so you know this, you know the concept, right? So you know that that flywheel is you started this flywheel, and yes, it's a slow one. You're not seeing any results, but let's pretend for a second that we're gathering these people into a circle, into a group or a Facebook group or something, and you've done it for 3 months and nobody's bought anything. You're like, is this really working? But those are the people who are now in your ecosystem who are what you did. You're kind of watching, you're asking questions, or you're just like staying back, and then the next 3 months comes into play and you're still doing the exact same thing again, and you might put an offer out or something. And then one of the previous people, and I'm not saying this is how it all works, but just as an example, one or two of the previous people of the first 3 months says, "Hey, I'd love to know about that," or they buy. And so you're constantly, if you're staying true to what you're doing and you're constantly doing these small little things of curating the tribe, and that tribe is growing, that flywheel is getting easier and easier to push, right? You're not resetting it. But that's the whole point, is because people don't see results in 3, 6 months, they throw away the flywheel and then they go and try and push another one and
Right.
start all over again.
Well, the first time you're on a bicycle, that first pedal is really hard because you're
Yeah,
going from a stop. And
exactly.
then the next pedal is a little easier, but it's still probably hard. When does it become easy? You don't really it's you don't know. It's not the first pedal. It might be the 10th pedal, but it could be the 30th pedal. You're not really sure when it
That's right.
becomes this machine that now all you have to do is just rest, the momentum carries it. And I
Exactly.
the consistency and the message and the branding, I don't know, we haven't mentioned branding, but like your message that you're saying and what you're doing over and over again, when does it become effective? It's not the first pedal, but it's before the 100th pedal. Where is that?
You don't know.
You just gotta keep being consistent.
Yeah,
Um,
and we give up way too soon, and so, I'm glad that, you're on board with the whole flywheel thing, and I'm pretty sure you've mentioned that before to your audience. And so if you understand that concept, that's where I live. And it's not easy every day. It's not like I'd be lying to say that, yeah, even though I have a really good week, my dream week, my ultimate week, there's weeks when I'm still questioning. Dang, like, is this gonna work? Like, what's gonna happen? So it's not like once you get sales or once you hit $100,000 or something, you're like, "This is amazing." No, anybody who tells you that is lying, or they're trying to sell you something.
Mm.
It's always a challenge. It's always hard, but it gets easier when you have processes in place. And especially, I'm going to keep going back to this. Especially, you're doing what you love, the thing that you love and are really great at, and you're speaking to people, whether you like it's the engagement is there or not, to people that you want to work with. That is the catalyst.
yeah, you're describing elements of the dream business thing. Like you're doing what you love with people you love.
That's right. That's right.
Before we end, what is the dream client DNA, and do you have a court? Do you have a webinar coming up on that?
We can actually, yeah. If, I don't have it scheduled, but I can do ones especially for you for your tribe if you want to send it out to them and invite them. I'd love to do something for your tribe to do that. But the Dream Client DNA is a It's a simple concept, but it's a little tricky because our brain gets in the way. And let me explain this to you that it's basically describing your perfect person that you want to work with. Who would be that perfect person? It's beyond the avatar because the avatar is based on demographics, it's based on some psychographics, but this is again goes deeper. Is who is that best friend that you want to design who actually pays you. Like that's really what it is. So it's basically a T chart. Here's the good things and the characteristics and values and all that stuff. And here's the stuff I just don't want to deal with. If somebody has like a lot of these things, that's a red flag for me. And so it's this comparison chart that nobody else sees except you that you start to write down what triggers you and what drains your batteries and what charges you. What is somebody that if you met this person and they had 90% of this or 95% of this, this would be a dream come true. That's what we're looking for. Who's that dream come true person?
Uh, I've described it in a way like you might not know everything, but when you meet a person, you can almost tell they're a dream client just the way you resonate with them. Like
100%.
you have this connection. You can't maybe articulate how you have this connection, but what they're saying and what you're saying align with your vision and values, and they don't say the things that turn you off. For example, I get turned off by people who say, "I can, sell this. Do you wanna know how I make $100,000 with a 4.99 product that I never made?" Like, that is not that, like, angers me, you know, because you're selling and manipulating, not serving. Um,
Mhm.
People who, um, just expect things to happen without trying and, like, failing a little bit. That those are also people that I don't think quite get the 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 the, um, the time it takes, allow people to be in a journey type of thing.
Yes.
But people who wanna help other people who are on a mission, as I said in the beginning, people who have the goal bigger than themselves, they wanna create life change. Those are the people that I resonate with, and they can't help talk about it. They can't help sharing about what's important to them if you just ask them a little bit. I've talked to some people recently about creating courses for trauma, people who have gone through trauma and how to help them in different situations and circumstances. That resonates with me because I working in the mental health field for like 18 years. I saw a lot of crap, saw a lot of people who just suffered and didn't they were suffering and they suffered alone. And I'm just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that is horrible. How can we help them?" So I get to help people launch those types of courses or other things like that. So they just as they talk about what they wanna do, it resonates with me, and they would be dream clients for me because they're doing something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, and like those are all hugely important things. And sometimes at least in my experience from clients, sometimes it's hard. Like for me and you, it sounds like you're the same as me when it comes to reading people or feeling that energy. It's pretty easy for me because I'm very in tune with my body and I can feel the energy back and forth. And do I resonate and all that? Some people have trouble with that, and that's okay. And that's where the Dream Client DNA will also help you because then it's more of and I think it'll still help us, like people like us, that where we can still feel energy from people, but also at the same time, it's about understanding the ask yourself this question, and this is for everybody, is do I have to change who I am speaking to this person? And if you do, if that's probably not a dream client.
Mhm,
And what I'm saying is that you don't necessarily have to have a person totally agree with you. It's not that. There's a lot of people who disagree with me. I shouldn't say disagree, but we challenge each other in Atlas, right? There's still and it's a love thing. It's like, okay,
mhm,
cool. And if it doesn't get resolved on either end, it's like, that's cool. That's what you're thinking. It's not this hatred, like, no way, I'm out, you're wrong, I'm right. Nothing like that. Because that's how friends are, right? Your best friends is not completely 100%. That would be a really boring relationship.
mhm.
because you're not learning, you're not growing. But most importantly is so that's how I would help somebody who doesn't have that way of like reading somebody or feeling it is like, am I filtering myself out here? Like, how am I afraid to say this or that kind of stuff? To me, that's that's a pain because that's the way I used to be like, okay, what's the right thing to say to this person that they're objecting to this? So how can what's the right line over here to say to get them to believe me, to
Yeah.
understand my thinking? Dude, that's draining for me. Like, I just
How do I break them down so that they would buy
yeah,
this thing?
just oh my gosh.
Nope.
I would rather have somebody not understand or challenge me, but in a way that they're open to at least having a discussion about it. And then I'm like, here's what I'm talking about. Here's what I mean. And if they still don't believe it or want to believe it or whatever, I'm like, that's okay. That's totally cool. Can I give you one short example
Sure.
of this? And this I think is really important because I do a lot of this is not for you thing. And it's not the whole, marketing thing where you're trying to take something away. And the more you take it away, people want it. That's not what I'm talking about. But I was recently on a call with somebody who wanted to buy Atlas, and I had 3 conversations with this person, and again, I'm not this is not a bad person, they're not judging them or anything,
Right.
but they just weren't right for it for one reason only. They agreed with everything about, curating the tribe and all that stuff, but they kept on bringing up one word. I'll let you guess. Do you know what the word is?
Now,
You kind
immediately,
Yeah, it was speed. It was
yeah,
that. It was immediate, right? It was speed. I knew you'd get it. And I'm like and it just every time they said it, I'm like, "I don't know. You kinda get it, but that speed really scares me because this is not what this is about." Like, it's kinda contradicting what I'm saying here, building the tribe, serving, not selling, and respecting the timeline, that kinda wipes it all out. Like, would you agree?
well, you asked us to be more human and have conversations rather than automate everything and send out mass emails. And
Right,
how can you automate a relationship? How do you make it the fastest with the least amount of friction? That wasn't what you were teaching us. I'm sure there's other people that would teach something that shows people how to speed, the fewest contacts you can really have with somebody to make a big sale. But
right.
That's not Atlas.
Yeah, and it was more of like, what's the process gonna look like? Are you gonna bring somebody onto a call and you're gonna try to convert them? Like that mentality is still there. And I did my best to share my thought process with that. And again, there are people who get that to work and all that. Like and I go, that's just not me. And if that's what you expect out of this, then you're gonna be disappointed at the end of 12 weeks or whatever, and that's not gonna be good. So, I
Right.
think that everybody the reason I'm telling you the story is because it's not again, that person is a really, really cool person, but just not right for Atlas at this point.
Mm.
And it was my job to know that going in to save us both time. And at the end of it, the third email or whatever I got was like, "You know what? You're absolutely right. I think I'm gonna do this thing other way first, like basically funnels and all the other things, and see how that works." So I even challenged that. I said, "What is gonna happen if you get to the end of 12 weeks with me and nothing happens? What are you going to do?" And they said, "Well, I'll start running ads and doing funnels and all that stuff." I said, "Well, you see what I mean? You're still in this frame." And I go, "There's nothing wrong, but it's going to contradict everything. You're kind of looking for a magic bullet for 12
Mhm.
weeks. And if it doesn't work, then you're going to go back to the thing you're thinking about right now." So I said, "Go do the thing you're thinking about right now. And if it works, fantastic. I wish you all the best. And hopefully you don't need me at all."
I
But,
So,
right?
I'm just thinking about my experience, and I think the program is magic, like, but I've gone through it twice now. Like, I'm still, like, learning and unpacking things and, applying things and being consistent. Like, I'm still in the process, but that was one of the things that, like, you put your money where your mouth is. "Hey, if you didn't get it, come back again. Let's keep working on it because I am your fan. Joey is your fan and your supporter. I'm going to help you get the results. Some people, some outliers might do it in one session, some might do it in 2. You even offered it to me a 3rd time, like, you're like, "Hey, do you wanna come back again?" Well, let me it's like, let me finish the checklist, and get through it, and then maybe in another year, I'll come back and see, if I hadn't made you you have a guarantee, like, you're gonna make your money back or you're gonna get your value out of this. I've already got my value because I know like, I have a better foundation for what I'm doing. The
Thank you.
foundation is secure, and it aligns with my values, and I know this is the way. Like, I don't wanna create a business where I am chasing the next big thing. I wanna create a business where I'm chasing people who like authentic James Marland, who can get I can help them get to their next destination, where they're gonna find somebody else who probably can help them get to their keep growing, but I
Right.
can help
Right.
people get to their first or second destination with what I know, and I don't have to worry about the other destinations. I just know I can get people to a dream one of their dreams. So,
Exactly. And, to your point there, uh, your journey, I'm just gonna put words in your mouth, just correct me where I'm wrong here. But, your journey is that's why the first curation of it was important to get you in. And I believe that you were the person who is like, okay, I know whatever's going to go on in his mind for the first 6 weeks or so is going to be like, whatever, is this going to really work? Whatever it is.
yep.
But it was, between the 6 and 8, it was like a breakthrough or
Mhm.
something that was like, wait a minute, this really could work for me, even though it wasn't working yet and bringing money in. And so that spoke to, at least for me, your character, which was, wait, I didn't make any money here, but I'm going to continue going with this. I see the difference now, and I want to continue. And you came to the second one, and now you're like you said, well, I'm still not, on the top end of them and all this stuff, but I'm still willing to work on this, and I'm going to take a break a little bit. But here's what I'm seeing from this, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but now you're at the point of like you can pinpoint the areas of where you actually need help. Like,
Oh,
is
yeah.
it the DNA or is it the 4% multiplier? Now it's like very much more precise. It's not about, I don't understand what the whole concept of heart center marketing is. What's the concept of like, you kind of get it,
Alright.
and you're like, this is the piece I'm struggling with. Am I right?
Yes. If I could pinpoint the thing that I need that I wish I had, like, solved right now, is the chain of beliefs where,
Right.
like, where do they start? I think I was starting when I was doing the chain of beliefs, I was like, all therapists need to have an online course, which is like a mass market appeal, sub mass market, whatever. But it was like all these therapists, they're so brilliant, they need to have a course. That was too broad of a net. You know, I actually need to focus some of my energies on I'm a therapist and I believe I have something to share and I can do it online or some sort of like foundational belief. And my chain that I'm still working on, because that's one of the things that it's hard to do it fast, but and
Exactly.
it's hard to do it without conversations too. One of the
Right.
big things that you impress, like, listen, do conversations, talk to people, figure out what they need. Anyways, so just like with my chain of beliefs when I bought from you, I like way down the line, I was like, I have a problem. I can get help for this problem. That was probably the next belief. Who can help me? Oh, Joey. He's in my world. He's been helping me. I can get help with my problem. I should buy from Joey. I got to work on that sort of chain of beliefs, not in a manipulating way, but sort of
Right.
like knowing, I gotta where do I start interacting with people? It's where they've recognized they have a problem. They start looking for the solution. I don't have to create the problem for them. Like, oh, you're a therapist. You need an online course. That's just that's way too. I don't know. That's just way too much. Too far away removed from my where I can get success.
Yeah. And I know you don't want to go on forever here, but I want to just tap into this, and you can just cut out whatever
Okay,
you don't want
might
to
be a
use.
two-parter, man. This might be a two-parter. Whatever.
But dude, like to your to your point there, your your dream client may not be about the course yet. It might be about something different. So your therapist person sits beside you in the bar and they say, I just wish there was a way that I could have more of my time back, something like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And but I don't want to stop helping people. I just wish there was a way to help more people and just have more of my time back to spend with my family. Like, let's just pretend it's that.
Yeah.
And that's a completely different thing than a person who already knows they want to have a course. Now, that could be the same because they could say, I'm trying to get this course out because I want my time back and be with my family and help more people, but I'm just struggling with that. Like, that could be enwrapped in that person. And you're like, oh, because now they've already hit all the things for you.
Mhm.
And then it's like, well, what's happening? And then they could go into the next belief or the next struggle or whatever that might look like. It might be, well, I've spent 5 years of my life and $100,000 in courses and nothing's worked so far. Right. Which
Or
is kind of where my people are too. Is like, that's why I go into the dream client is different than an ideal client avatar. And then I go into my unfunnel stuff. You don't need funnels and all these things. And it resonates with people. Like, I can't tell you, James, how many times now more than ever, because unfunnel my message is becoming stronger and stronger, that people are using the word aligned a lot with me.
mm,
This doesn't align with me, like what I'm being taught, like cold DMing people and 50 people a day and all these, that doesn't align with me. And the funnel thing is really frustrating me. So it's aligning with the right people and repelling the other ones.
yes.
And that's an easy conversation because I don't have to sell anybody. They're like, what does unfunnel mean?
Yeah, they're either
Or
gonna be
what's
attracted or repelled from that. Just that very word, "Oh, well, I know funnels is the way to do things. I'm not gonna go there." Well, that's a repel that's not your dream client. And going back to the beliefs, like,
yep.
I hear, just like, um, they wanna help people, but they're running out of time, that
Wow.
one-to-one modality,
Okay,
and
so that's a huge one.
yeah, and also burnout, like, burnout and emotional burnout. When I worked, I did intakes and assessments at a mental hospital. When I came home and my wife wanted to talk to me, I was fried, like, I was
Yeah,
mentally, emotionally fried. I was there, I wasn't
right.
working 80 hours a week, but I was just like, I've heard problems all day long. I didn't have the emotional resonance there to respond. And so there's during COVID and during the last, 3 or 4 years where people experienced some serious emotional, the world was topsy-turvy. Therapists started burning out. They started, not just started, but they were just like, I want to help people, but I've invested all this money and time and courses and I know how to help people. I just don't have time, emotional time and energy to go through. How do I keep using my skills, what I've learned to help people without burning out so I can be there for my family? Like, that's what I've been seeing as I talk to people.
That's huge, bro. Like, I would go back to this recording and that's where your chain of beliefs is. It's right
Mm,
there. It's that person who sits beside you and
yeah.
says, I wanna use the stuff that I already know. I've already bought courses,
Yep.
but at the end of the day, when I get home to start building this thing, I'm burnt out and I'm mentally not there. How am I supposed to do this? And it's a roller coaster. It's a bad groundhog day for me every day,
Mm,
and there's no way of me doing this. So their belief is that I can't do this or whatever it might be, right? I can't do this, or there's no time to do this, and then you're the savior. So you're coming in and saying, "No, no, wait a sec. Here's how you can do this." That's a huge piece. You don't have to convince anybody that they want to do an online course, right?
right. Right. If they're
And they've got the oasis, which is I want more time with my family, but I want to continue to help more people in the world. And this is the vehicle. I just don't know how to use this vehicle, and everything I've bought up to now sucks, and I can't, or I even can't get to it.
I've talked to people whose solution to either running out of money is just to work harder, you know, like,
Right.
I'm just gonna keep grinding, my max is 25, but I need, I gotta pay for my college. I'm gonna do 30 clients a week or something, and just like,
Is that in your chain?
uh, no, I think I have, like,
I would
3
write that
things that
down.
say, like, as I said, I gotta work on it. I have, like, the beginning and, like, the end. and then I'm still working on the conversations to get that, but,
Well, part of it is that okay, so that relates to
working harder is
in
not the solution. Like,
yeah,
seeing more.
adding more clients is not the answer.
Yeah. Right.
Right? Like, that's the thing. So for me, remember in my chain, part of it is, they I need a big list.
Mhm.
Those I need like whatever. I need a big list. I need a whole bunch of social following and all these. And I say you don't need that. Like, so I'm saying that the opposite. And that to me is a big part of your chain. And it could just be a small little thing that you say and they just move right past it. Like, you don't tell me more. You don't have to
Right.
explain it. You're just like, here's one of the biggest problems. You don't need to add more clients
Mm.
to get your kids to college
Yeah.
or whatever. Huge.
Cool. I will
Yeah, you
re-listen
got
to
it.
this.
Yeah, dude, like that's why, anybody listening to this is why you have coaches and everything else because and even for me, like I love bouncing ideas off of each other, off of people because I learn all the time, even for myself, I learn.
Yeah. You
That's
do
why conversations are so important. Not
you
only with somebody who's going to help you, but you with your clients or your potential clients because you're learning from them.
mm,
Like, you know a lot, bro. I don't know if you see that or not, but you spit this off in the last 5 minutes. You just like, here's who they are. Why? I think it's because you weren't pressured to like fill out a form. It's like, okay, fill in your chain of
yeah.
beliefs. But when I'm asking you and you're explaining, you're like, this is who they are. This is what they tell me. Right. But then we put our pen to paper, like, oh, how do I fill this out?
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, I'm taking it all in, alright? Taking me a
Dude,
minute to, like, decompress from all this, good conversation. This is probably
you
a
got it.
good point to ask, like, we'll start wrapping up. Um, I want people to be able to find you. Do you still do the, Kajabi webinar?
100%.
Okay.
So that is every first Friday of the month
Mhm.
on Kajabi, and are you gonna? I'll
I'll
give you
link it.
links if they
Yep.
want, yeah, so they can join that for sure. And then like I said, if your listeners want to do a special bonus training or webinar or whatever, we can do that as well to help them with whatever they need. You and I can arrange that and gift it to your
Sure.
listeners.
Alright, great. Um I will put something together. I have that, the sessions program we talked about. It does webinars. Unless you wanna do it in Zoom. But anyways, I'll work it out.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
Sure, sure. That would be awesome. You will not be disappointed. You will probably learn something that a new way of thinking about your business and your market, whether you're creating a course or not. This stuff
Yeah.
applies to if you're offering a service. How do you craft the service that you love to go into every day and just and do what you do best? Like Joey can help you with that as well. It doesn't have to be just about courses. I think
Yeah.
we end up believing we have to be all things to all people to make a living, and you've really taught you can be yourself, serving people you love, making money, and enjoying what you do. And I think that's just so. And then, do you any is that is there anything else you want to how else can people connect with you? Just the
Uh,
webinar?
yeah. So, well, they can go to my website. I'll give you the email address that you can link to as well. They can
Yep.
personally email me. We'll give the Facebook group, which is a great place to
Mhm.
gather. They can go there, and as you know, I respond to everything.
Yep.
So even if people DM me, I'm still responding to them. No, you're not going to be sold, right? So I'm always available.
Mm.
Within the boundaries. I mean, I'm still living my great life, but I'm available. It's not hard to get a hold of me, and I always respond.
Yeah, and
So
that's
yeah,
that's part of your dream job, right? Is responding to people who are interested. So if you're interested in anything we talked about, the dream life, the dream business, dream client DNA, and we talked about a lot of things, the chain of beliefs, the 4% multipliers, all of those stuff. You're like, hey, I want to know more about that. How could that help me? Email Joey. He is a great guy who will help you out because that's who he is.
thank you.
Uh, all right. So that is a wrap. Thanks, Joey, for joining me.
Thank you. I
And
enjoyed it.
oh, this is wonderful. Something I'm going to listen to again and again. So this is James with the Scaling Therapy Practice, part of CourseCreationStudio.com. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed the show and wanted to hear more, please like and share with your friends. It really does help us find new listeners and grow the show. I hope you go check out Joey and his webinar on your dream client connection, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. It's coming up in a week, I believe, after this episode plays, and he does it monthly on the Kajabi platform. I'll have a link to Kajabi and all their resources, and they truly do support their creators with webinars and links and support, and that's one of the reasons, one of the places I found Joey and why I like Kajabi so much. So I'll put a link to Kajabi down there and their awesome creator platform. If you have questions about creating courses or online courses, or if you just want to talk to me about anything Kajabi or Descript, the program I use to create this show, I'm more than happy to jump on a call with you or do some emails so I can help you the most, sort of modeling what Joey has set up for me. As we close, I want to remind you that the Scaling Therapy Practice is for information and entertainment purposes only. If you need professional legal services, accounting, business services, please seek a professional in those areas. Everybody's situation is different, and you need somebody who gives advice for your exact situation. Scaling Therapy Practice is a proud part of the SciCraft Network.